Edu Gaspar. From Arsenal's boardroom to the ultimate power player at Forest, in just 4 short months, we have seen managerial sackings, transfer wars, and fan meltdowns. But the real question is the appointment of Edu a masterstroke, or has the fuse been lit on a bigger disaster at Forest? Welcome to your Forest News. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your latest Forest News. Coming up, we're going to be discussing Edu. This is a topic of conversation that I've long been wanting to put a video out about, to have a discussion on it, because I know right now Edu is seriously dividing fan opinion. So we're going to go through what Edu has done before, what he's brought to Forest, and is this appointment going to be a success or a disaster? Get your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you've hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. And today is my birthday. Yes, I am officially 24 today. So if you do want to grab me a coffee, you can click on that link or click on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, let's jump into this because I think this is an interesting topic to discuss. And what I want to do first is just kind of outline who is Edu. I want to talk about his job role at Forest as well. But Edu is the guy who, as a player, won the World Cup. He was part of the Invincible team, if I remember rightly, at Arsenal. And then after that, he became a scout. He was quite good at what he was doing, built up the black book, built up a lot of kind of contacts and knowledge, and then went to work for Arsenal. He became the technical director and sporting director at his time at Arsenal, and he masterminded the signings of people like Declan Rice, some would say Kai Havertz, I wouldn't, but a few others as well. But he also had some really bad signings at Arsenal under his tenure. So there are good points to the players he has signed. There are bad points as well. Now, in July 25, he officially signed for Forest. But this wasn't something that just happened in July. We brought you back reports from last August, telling you that Marinakis really did want Edu and was trying to move heaven and earth to get him. And eventually it was like the football's worst kept secret. By about September, October time, he had left Arsenal. There was a 6-month gardening leave period where no doubt he was working behind the scenes, allegedly, of course, and trying to kind of put the building blocks into Forest. So he joined the Empire. And I say Empire because that's exactly what he did. It's not just Forest, it's also Rio Ave, it's also Olympiacos and the interests in Brazil as well. But I don't think we've ever been defined what Edu exactly does. So let me give you a few details about his actual job role. So Edu, his official title is Global Head of Football. He's basically the big boss of all the things on the pitch. He's also in charge of the recruitment, scouting, signing, selling players, and squad strategy as well. It all comes down to his call. Performance analysis, youth development, all those kind of things will get chucked in. But this isn't just for Forest. This is across the board. So he will be spending a lot of time on a plane going between East Midlands and Porto, excuse me, and Greece as well. So there's a lot that he has to cover off. So let's get right into how it started with Edu at Forest. As I mentioned, he officially signed in July 2025. And from the bat, him and Nuno did not get on. Nuno didn't like that there was this extra layer of authority between him and the likes of Marinakis. And Edu is a very strong character, someone who knows what his job title is, what he's coming to do, and the plan that he wants to put into place. And for those of you who don't know, just very quickly, as we broke exclusive to you guys many months ago, that there was a big fallout between Nuno and Edu. And this was all surrounding Oil Me Up Adama Traore. Now, my understanding of the story is as follows. I'll share it with you guys. Basically, Nuno approached Edu and said that he wanted Adama Traore. Edu said that he would go to Fulham and Adama's people and talk to them. Now, he then came back and apparently he told Nuno that Adama wasn't interested or Fulham weren't interested in selling one or the other. I can't quite remember it off the top of my head. Nuno was like, okay, cool. Now, Nuno, who has obviously had a past relationship with Adama Traore, he then got one of his guys to get in touch with Adama and found out from Adama that basically no one had approached Adama from Forest to sign him. That enraged Nuno, who, according to what I heard, basically marched into Edu's office, kicked off with him, demanded a press conference then and there because he wanted to quit, to the stage where I think Marinakis even had to get involved to calm things down. And this was a couple of weeks before we saw the first interview with Sky Sports, before the infamous presser where he said, his relationship with Marinakis was breaking down. But this was all surrounding a particular transfer, and the tension between the two just got stronger and stronger to the point where it just couldn't continue. And as we saw, and as we told you back then, there was only ever going to be one winner, and that was Edu. So Edu instantly caused a lot of controversy by him joining. Now, some would say this is a strong man, a guy who's taking no crap. In my opinion, if the story, the way I heard it, is true, while I agree with Edu that Adama Traore isn't good enough for Forest, I don't agree with his approach to Nuno if he did indeed tell him that an approach had been made when it hadn't. So, you can start to understand, maybe have a bit of sympathy towards Nuno, who maybe felt undermined if indeed this is an accurate kind of description of what happened. So Nuno went. We then saw the likes of Hutchinson coming in, Igor Jesus coming in, Douglas Luiz coming in. These are all Edu signings. These are all players that for many years he's been trying to get at his time at Arsenal, from Igor Jesus to Douglas Luiz, and obviously Hutchinson came through their academy. He brought these players in, and a lot of this recruitment strategy in this transfer window is on Edu. Now, what I would say is I think there's been a lot of revisionism in the fan base. I didn't see a lot of complaints at the time where Forest were signing these players, getting backwards in, getting Calamuendu's in, etc., etc. But as the season has played out, it feels like a lot, and maybe myself included slightly in it, even though I do still think it's a good transfer window, people are looking back and thinking, was it actually that good? And does Edu have a strategy? So get your thoughts in on the transfer window. Have you changed your mind on the quality of the players? So the next phase of what Edu did was obviously the Sean Dyche appointment, because we believe that it was completely on Marinakis, the signing of Ange Postecoglou, rather than Edu being too much involved in that one. Now, do I even believe that Edu is the mastermind behind Sean Dyche? Well, according to the club, him and Sirianos are the ones who have made this appointment. And it sounds like the blame will be put more so with them rather than the credit for the appointment if it doesn't work out. So we are where we are now. But I personally, on Edu, I think anyone who's judging Edu yet is doing it too early. These strategies that where a global director comes in isn't something that gets implemented within 5 minutes of joining the club. These are usually like 5-year deal of plans, 3 to 5 years, maybe even a longer plan in terms of the 5 to 10 year plan. These are all things that will be taken into account and don't happen overnight. Yes, he also has, for me, a really good black book that he can call up upon. He is a big name in the footballing world and does have connects. But when you do speak to my Arsenal fans and other Arsenal YouTubers, and we've done videos before, I think we did one with Potts, who wasn't his biggest fan. I'll see if I can dig that up and leave it for you on the end screen. There is not really that love for Edu from the Arsenal fan base in terms of him leading the charge with Arteta. Now that they've got the likes of Berta in, they've seen a different strategy and they feel that this is something they weren't getting under Edu. But Arsenal are kind of dealing in a different transfer market. Edu's doing a different role at Forest to what he did at Arsenal. So to compare it, for me, feels a bit like apples and oranges, and also the time frame is too early. However, what I will say is a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan will get ripped up on the spot if they go and mess up this season and the unthinkable happens and Forest were to go down. Because that 5-year plan will not have been planning for a battle in the Championship, for example. That 5-year plan will include how do we strengthen on the European position we found ourselves on this season. What players will we be able to sell in the summer to bring in profit to get Forest really kind of, churning in the money, and Elliot Anderson, if all the reports that are going on are true, etc. So if this season fails, then he has been an absolute fraud, because out of the gates, he has messed this one up. But if he can weather this storm and get through it, then potentially when you look at the 5-year plan and see actually, in spite of what some Arsenal fans say, how Arsenal got put back on the right track. Yes, I do banter them, but look where they were. They were lounging around 8th position a couple of seasons. At one point, they were bottom of the Premier League under Arteta early in his tenure. And then they were able to bring themselves back to a club that's competing and fighting for titles and bottling those, and Champions League and bottling those as well. And maybe now that Edu's gone, do you see the fruits of his labour? Because it is a knock-on effect that happens. But I think don't judge him just yet. But be critical of him, of course. But to judge someone there, it's not like a footballer where you've seen a couple of games, you're like, oh, this guy's no good, or this guy is the one. Strategies take time to implement. And in my personal opinion, I think it's a bit too early. There are worrying signs, but there are good signs. But what I want to know is, what do you think about the information I've just shared with you, with the ruckus with him and Nuno? And are you worried about Edu leading the charge for Forest this season and into the next few? Get your comments in down below. Get your birthday messages in as well. 24, man. Who would have thought I'd ever get to there? Please do like as well if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed. And we're back to talking about Forest versus Liverpool from tomorrow onwards. So we'll see you there. Come on, you Reds.